Welcome to our Backyard Brothers podcast. Today we will not be having a podcast next week. It's the week before Thanksgiving. Next week is Thanksgiving, so be thankful for your families and for the things you have, and don't show up on Skype next week or on YouTube for those who are watching. So, but we will talk a lot today about some sports, and so uh, let me pull up my agenda here. I think Dustin's first with a memory today. So let me just, send it over to you, Dustin.
Yeah. Can you still hear me or see me?
Yeah.
Both.
Right. I'm pulling up a picture here for my stats here. All right. So, a important milestone happened in the NBA, and that is that Russell Westbrook achieved triple-double number 200 in his career. That's about 20 more than anyone else. Actually, quite a bit more than that. I don't know how much more than anybody else. A lot more than anybody else. And it's so a triple double for those that don't know is when a player in a single game has at least 3 statistical categories of 10 or more in each of those categories. Most of the time, it is points, rebounds, and assists. The great majority of triple doubles are points, rebounds, and assists. It is something that, for most of the history of the NBA, is a rare occurrence. A handful per season. In recent years, it's become more common. With faster pace, different players, it's becoming more common. But Westbrook has been the captain of the triple-double throughout his career, and that he is a fantastic rebounder, fantastic distributor, and, of course, a fantastic scorer. So with him reaching triple-double number 200 on his career, most out of any player ever, he's the all-time leader. I wanted to do a biography on him and the little reflection on his career, which is winding down. He's still playing. He's playing for the Nuggets, still making a great impact, playing great, but definitely near the twilight of his career. So I'm going to give some statistics, some memories that I have, and then turn it over to you for a reaction. So statistics, first of all, Russell Westbrook, drafted 4th overall in 2008 by the Seattle Supersonics, and absolutely never played a single game for that team. Never even wore the jersey, because that's the year that they moved to Oklahoma City. And so the very first year in Oklahoma City was his first year. And he's had a fantastic career. 9-time NBA All-Star, including 6 appearances in a row. 2-time NBA All-Star Game MVP. 9-time All-NBA team selection, either first, second, or third. Part of the rookie first team in 2009. 2-time NBA scoring champion. 3-time NBA assist leaders. Part of the NBA 75th anniversary team and the 2017 most valuable player. And as I mentioned, 200 triple doubles in a career and 4 seasons that he averaged a triple double. And those 4 seasons happened within 5 years. So we're talking about one of the greatest players of this generation. A little background. So he grew up in Los Angeles. Him and a great friend named Kelsey Bars wanted to play basketball together. And when they were 18 years old, his friend Kelsey had a heart issue while on the court and passed away. And so if you ever notice, you'll watch Russell Westbrook, he always wears a wristband that says KB3 in honor of his friend, and he vowed that he would get to the NBA in honor of his friend, and he did, and obviously became a Hall of Famer, or a soon-to-be Hall of Famer. And then we look back on his career, what he's done. He is known for his insane athleticism, being able to take the ball 90 feet, you get a rebound and then dunk it 3 seconds later. is kind of one of the things he's been known for. And probably absolutely one of my most favorite players to watch that I've ever watched in the history of the NBA. So I'm glad to reflect on his career and all of that. Reactions to this player, to this biography.
You took most of the things I was going to say, and so I think you covered a great career from a guy who's going to be a certain Hall of Famer, probably 5 years to the season that he retires. Like you said, 4 seasons where he averaged a triple-double, including 3 in a row. That's insane. No one had ever averaged a triple-double throughout a whole season, and he did it 4 seasons. The next closest to him in career triple-doubles is Oscar Robertson at 181, I think. And so he's passed that a little while ago. I loved watching him play as well, especially when he was with Durant and Harden on the Thunder. Those few years where they were probably the best team in the NBA other than the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat. They met them once in the finals, those 2 teams. And Thunder won the first game and lost the next 4 in that series. But yeah, Westbrook is so much fun to watch. He was an immediate spark plug anywhere he went. Just the athleticism, the emotion that he showed. He was so much fun to watch, and he is so much fun to watch. He's not like you said, he's 36 years old. He'll be 37. I know he just turned 36. Sorry, just turned 36 last week, and so he's winding down his career, like you said, Dustin. But he's still fun to watch. He's still a great player, and obviously his strength was getting to the basket. I don't think he's ever been a great 3-point shooter, a great shooter, although that's never kept him from trying. But I think he's a career 33% 3-point shooter. So, I mean, not bad enough where you say never take a shot, but one where you say, yeah, you should be a little bit more discretionary in taking some of those shots. But he's a great player to watch, great fun. And I think you picked a great memory a great biography to talk about.
Yeah, as you said, great player to watch. I mean, he just got triple-double 200, this late in his career, and I think it was something like 21, 14, 10. It was a fantastic stat line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you pointed out a lot of things. I didn't know that he was a leader in so many different stat categories for such a good block of time. 4 and 5 years is really impressive to be on top of a league like that and get MVP performances and things like that. I've never really been a huge Thunder fan, but I have seen him play, and I think one of the things that sticks out to me about Russell Westbrook that separates him from most of the people in the league is his ability to get to the rim in a creative way, and like his layups are just different. He's one of those guys that you can count on for 2 at almost any time. You know what I mean? Like he can get a bucket. Like Scott was kind of alluding to, he's not the best 3-point shooter, but I with his style of game, I don't think that matters as much because he can get you points, and he just has like a hustle and a drive that you can't really teach in a player. You just got to hope for it.
Yeah, and I would agree with all of that. As a just really a casual watcher, Russell Westbrook is one of the few names that I've forever, like the kind of household names basically. Yes, you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Now we can. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, but I also thought triple doubles were rare. When you said 200, I shot up thinking because I was thinking I would think that someone could only maybe have 20 in a career. That's what I was thinking. Like I thought it was that rare, and so maybe I'm wrong, maybe I am right, and that's just speechless for that.
Most players have 0. So most players have 0 triple doubles, and so there are a few dozen, a few dozen, per generation that achieve triple doubles on a semi-regular basis. Russell Westbrook has 200. LeBron James probably has about 120 over his 21-year career. He's got about 120.
Nice guess, Dustin. 117. Yeah.
All right.
So
Really nice guess.
yeah, there's actually 6 players ever that have got 100. Only 6 have ever got 100. You mentioned 2 of them.
Guess.
Westbrook and LeBron.
Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, LeBron, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson, and Nikola Jokic.
There you go. Nikola Jokic, yeah. So those are the 6. Yeah.
That's like, so basically it's like winning every wrestling match without anyone scoring a point on you throughout college. Like that kind of elitist as far as stat line goes. It's like, yeah, nobody does this, and I do it so good that it's a different level, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like a quarterback throwing a perfect game, but doing it 200 times. And and then averaging a perfect game over a season.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It really makes me wonder why Russell Westbrook isn't in more of a conversation for like a greatest overall player. Do you think that's because of championships and maybe like the overall stat line with the 3-point and just certain things like that? Because I never really hear anybody saying that he would be in the running.
And just to add to that thought, though, I was thinking that too, Yancey. I'm just thinking with that comparison you just gave, Dustin, it makes me want to think that not only is he obviously a Hall of Famer, but it's almost like he should already be in like a, all history league kind of idea. You know what I mean? Like what the NFL did, like the 100-year, all NFL league, whatever that thing was called.
Oh, he is. He's on the 75th anniversary team. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
That's where he would belong, in my opinion. Then, so good.
Yeah. So the NBA have considered him one of the 75 greatest to ever play the game.
Good.
The 75th, with which he belongs there, and most everybody on that list, I would agree, belong there. There's a few that I have opinions about, but yes, he's there. He deserves to be there. During his generation, there were 2 players. One of them named Stephen Curry, one of them named LeBron James, who just ate up all of those championships.
MVPs, and championships.
Yeah, and so yeah,
that makes sense.
He went back, and I think James Harden won it the year after he did, and when he's still, because Russell Westbrook averages a triple double, everyone goes crazy, and then he does it again and actually has a better numbers across the board, and they're like, well, you already did that, that's old hat, let's give it to James Harden. So yeah, but that's what happened. All right,
well, thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, great bio. I like that. So let's stick with basketball for a second. Have a basketball minute. NBA and college basketball. Anything we want to say about basketball that's going on? So Cavs finally lost a game, right? Yeah.
Quick interruption.
Mm-hmm.
So the Browns just scored a touchdown, and guess who's the ball carrier?
Nick Chubb. Right.
Nick Chubb. Yeah. The man that we didn't think would have a leg.
Yeah, didn't we watch him get his leg broke like 1 or 2 seasons ago?
It was last year, yeah.
Last year? Yeah. That was the femur, wasn't it? The big bone?
It was the knee. It was
at the knee. Yeah, he almost kissed his foot, dog. Yeah. I remember watching
that. If I remember right, his knee was a 90-degree angle, and he was over it. So it was
jammed.
Yeah.
Anyway, basketball.
Yeah. So the Cavs finally lost a game to the Celtics. So as we thought about
15-1 then
they started 15-0 and then they lost. Yeah.
Yeah. So 15-1.
They're 16-1 right now.
Yeah. So then they won again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So still top of the league. Great team.
Philadelphia's only won one more game since 2-12 are the 76ers. So yeah.
I don't have many basketball updates. I think that the MVP front runner early on in the season is SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, maybe the MVP front runner. I'm not sure who else is gonna be up there. So it'll be interesting to watch how that shakes out.
10-4 Lakers. They're not too terrible.
Well, and let me throw in. I mean, it's getting kind of ridiculous to throw his name in every year, but Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple-double right now for the season too. So he won it last year. He's averaging 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists per game. So you got to say that he's won it 3 out of the last 4 years. It could be 4 out of the last 5 if he continues doing what he's doing. So
yeah, he's definitely deserving. Just like we mentioned with Westbrook, he may be the best, most deserving this season. Whether or not he's going to get it is, that there's a voting and all that. Then there's usually a story that goes along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Nuggets are 8-5. They're not really gelling the way I think they would need to for him to get the nod again. Or I mean, they may pick it up. I don't know. But I think that the Nuggets would have to be next to perfect to stay into the running as one of the top tier teams. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The big story for me is, I mean, we all pretty much at the beginning of the NBA preview all said the Warriors are dead, and right now they lead the West. They're 11-3. They're looking just fine the way that they were. So maybe we don't know anything. So
yeah, and then on the other side of that, the 76ers suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-12, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Worse than the Wizards and the Pistons.
The Wizards and the Celtics play tomorrow, right?
Yeah, the Pistons are actually not bad right now. They're 7-9. They're 6th in the East. So
it's not too bad.
So
yeah, and Phil, for the 76ers, you're gonna have to, the sport they play, you got to take away the word basket because they don't use that in there very much. Just call it ball.
I call it rim ball.
Rim ball.
Backboard ball, whatever works.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about basketball? Still, college basketball is still kind of in its infancy right now. But Kansas is #1 team right now. And, yep. Women's basketball has also started. Obviously, we didn't talk about women's basketball last week. Obviously, last year was like the biggest year for women's college basketball ever, with Caitlin Clark and all those Angel Reese and all the other great players that all went to the WNBA. So we're not hearing about women's college basketball as much so far. But same thing with the WNBA. Their season is actually over. We didn't talk about it a whole lot, but Caitlin Clark got the Indiana Fever to the playoffs, but they lost, I think, in the first round, and the team that won ended up being
It's New York, I think.
New York Liberty. Yeah, I think so. So, any talk about any basketball, men or women, pro or college?
I guess what I would say, what I've seen with Caitlin Clark is, you often see players with such great hype fall short once they go professional. That's not true with Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. She's lived up to her hype.
Yeah, she was Rookie of the Year. So,
yeah, I don't think I disagree at all. I don't think there's any way to.
Yeah.
Louisville's women team put up 107 against Morehead State.
Whew. That's a lot for a college game.
Yeah, for sure. And that's in the women's basketball too.
Yeah. You're 107 points in 40 minutes. That's a long time.
There was
That's a lot of
another
runs.
women's team that lit it up last week, right?
Mhm.
Didn't I point that out? It was like 140 something to
Right.
something
Over
crazy,
junior
like 42
college.
or something stupid. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk football, NFL, college football, things like that. Again, no prescribed order. Let's just talk football. I know we have some things to talk about.
But I will.
Go ahead, Cody.
I was going to say I will start just with college football. One thing that I thought was interesting with the, and this is talking more about the college football playoff rankings. So first off, so BYU lost to
Kansas.
Kansas. Thank you. So Kansas, and the most recent playoff ranking is actually has Boise State ahead of BYU, which means Boise State would get that bye, and Big 12, if BYU won it, would be having to play in the first round rather than getting a bye, which is interesting. Seeing that happen that way, if it stays that way, which we have 2 or 3 weeks left still, so it probably won't. But also staying with Big 12, Colorado is looking a lot more legit right now. They're playing very well. Short Sanders, Travis Hunter are both incredible. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football, without a doubt. And I'm kind of curious to see what Colorado at their best could do against a blue blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing I would disagree with you on, Cody, is that if Colorado wins out, they get that bye. They get that Big 12 championship, and they get the bye. They at this point they'd be playing BYU for that championship, but that's as long as BYU can win their next 2 games, which are not necessarily easy. Houston's easy enough, but that's their last game this week. They play Arizona State. So, yeah. So if BYU wins both of those games, and they'll play for the Big 12 championship, likely against Colorado, and I don't expect BYU to beat Colorado. So,
I think Yancey's wild prediction for the week is everybody loses their 0. I don't think I see a team that's undefeated that's going to stay that way. Indiana's going to lose to Ohio State for sure. Feel free to jump in and correct me and tell me where I'm dumb or wrong or whatever, because I just don't see it happening. And then Army's losing to Notre Dame. That's almost a given. Who else? Do we have any more zeros?
Losing to Washington.
See, that's where I'm done. That's why I need you guys around. So, for sure, Oregon keeps their 0. They're the only one. Unless there's another undefeated.
I think everybody in the country outside of Ohio is an Indiana fan this week.
Probably.
Everybody, yeah.
I was gonna say I'm really excited. I might be the only one, but I'm really excited for that game. I'm believing in Indiana. I bet that they can make it a game between Ohio State, and I don't know if I can see it happening, but I'm really, really hoping for an upset. I really want it. I really, really want it.
I wanted Mike Tyson to knock out Jake Paul too, but that's how it's gonna look.
Yeah, it'd be fun. You play the game for a reason, but Ohio State is 10.5-point favorites. So, yeah, we'll see.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Moving to the NFL real quick. The way we talked about the NBA preview and the things that we were wrong about, you look right now at the 14-team playoff field. And based on what we did in the NFL preview, there are 5 teams, almost half of that playoff field, that very few of us, if not none of us, had in the playoffs. If it would end today, those teams are in the NFC: the Washington Commanders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Arizona Cardinals are all playing really good football. They would all be in the playoffs right now, while the 49ers would stay home. Who thought about that? And then in the AFC, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos would both be in the playoffs right now. And so those are 5 teams that all of us, or most of us, I think there's a couple of, I think the Steelers was picked by someone to make the playoffs, but most of us, if not all of us, said none of those 5 teams would get anywhere close really to the playoffs, and all 5 of them are there. So
I have to give credit to Pam. She predicted Washington to win the division.
okay.
And I thought she was crazy, and now I'm eating crow. So
Yeah, I think we're all gonna be chomping on that when the playoffs come up, because I think they turned a lot of these divisions upside down on us, like the traditional thinking of how it's been going, the way the teams looked. The 49ers, I mean, they just couldn't stay healthy, so that coming back from the Super Bowl visit, I expected them to have a much better season. And there were a few teams like that underperformed, and the other teams that stepped way up.
It's the 49ers are, their hopes are hanging by a thread right now. They play the Packers this week, which is a good team, and then right after that they go play the another good team. I can't remember. They play 3 in a row, including the Lions. So of 3 really good teams. So 49ers could be coming out of the next couple of weeks looking 5-8 and done. So it's luckily for them, the NFC West is all within 1 game of each other, and so it's all up for the NFC West. So,
Yeah. To go back to the Commanders and the Steelers, yeah, the Commanders have been surprisingly excellent. I remember doing the preview, we were all like, are the Steelers going to be 500 again? I don't know. This is a hard season. I'm going to say yes, but barely. And here they are at 8-2. And so it's the hat is off to Mike Tomlin. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What he's able to do each year for 20 years straight. What a fantastic coach and what a fantastic team this year around him. I was questioning them putting Wilson in instead of Fields, and Wilson's done fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, shout out. I talked real bad about Russell for a while there, so good for him for stepping up and performing for Pittsburgh. Too bad he couldn't do it in Denver.
He just fumbled like 5 minutes ago, and it was just like a run and just like dropped the ball, fumbled.
Good old Russell making me comfortable again. I like the stuff I'm used to.
It's like, Wilson, you're small, 2 hands. Like a toddler with a cup, 2 hands.
What was it? Remember the Titans where they duct taped the ball to Petey?
Uh-huh.
Make him carry it everywhere.
One other thing that's coming up to me. This is going back to college. ACC conference is. I'm actually surprised at SMU right now. They're playing really, really good football. They're projected to be in a championship game, and I think that if it's them versus Miami, I think SMU wins that game. I do, which would be very. I mean, no one would have guessed that at the beginning of the season. No one would guess that they would be 9-1 right now, with the only loss being to a 9-1 good BYU team. So I'm impressed with SMU, and I'm hoping that they win the conference.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to see. I want to talk kickers real quick. We don't give a lot of talk about kickers necessarily, but
I was about to say, said no one ever. Right after you said, I want to talk about kickers.
AFC North kickers in particular. So last week, Chris Boswell, the Steelers kicker, goes 6 for 6 in that game. They don't score a touchdown. The Ravens score 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown, I think. And the Steelers still win without scoring a touchdown because their kicker hits 6 field goals. Goes 6 for 6 in that game. Great defense, obviously, all of that. The rest of the kickers in the AFC North combined, which includes Justin Tucker, by the way, and Alex McPherson for the Bengals and Dustin Hopkins for the Browns. Evan McPherson for those three really good kickers combined last week went 3 for 9 on field goals.
Jeez.
Wow.
So
Justin,
yeah, it was bad for everywhere else, but for the Steelers, Chris Boswell looks like the best kicker in the NFL now, 6 for 6. This is the second game this season that the Steelers have won with Chris Boswell scoring all of the points for the team. He had 5 field goals earlier this season and won 15 to something.
So you're saying that he won the game single-leggedly?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
You think we're going to see the first kicker hold out? He's going to be like, no, I just can't play for you guys until I get more money. I've been making all these points.
Justin Tucker's out in there in Baltimore going, laces out, damn.
Yeah. Staying in the AFC North real quick with one other thing. I think it's crazy. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, what they're doing this year. They are getting career years from a lot of players. Trey Hendrickson is on pace to have more sacks than he had last year. He had 17 last year, and he's on pace to have more than that. Trey Hendrickson is playing out of his mind on defense. Joe Burrow is putting up the best numbers of his career this year. He is playing lights out. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the NFL this year. He is absolutely phenomenal in the numbers that he is putting up. All of those things being true, the Bengals are 4-7. So it just doesn't make sense.
You shouldn't spend all your money on offense.
Yeah, I mean Trey Hendrickson is on defense. He's the only good player on defense apparently, but yeah.
So can I go back to kickers?
Yes, please.
So I've been watching this season. I find it a little bit frustrating that with almost every team, it's all right. If I can get past the 40-yard line, I can score. I can win the game. I can score. I can do this. That kickers for the most part score greater than 80, 85, almost 90%. They have such a great success rate of kicks, and it's not at all surprising for 57, 58-yard field goals to make it with plenty of room to spare. And so I'm wondering and hoping that there'll be some type of revolution, either in rule change or strategy that drops that down, that makes it harder. We've seen a few more blocks, which is great. But it's almost unfair that half the field is in 90% per points range. That at this point you get a touchback off of the opposing team's kickoff, and you only got to go 20 or 30 yards, and boom, you got the game. I know this feels like a PTI question, but any response to that?
The one that I would, and you mentioned it a little bit, but that's exactly what the Chicago Bears thought last week when they went down the field, and then instead of trying to get more yardage, they're about range for a 46-yard field goal, I think, is about what they had, which, to your point, NFL kickers, 46-yard field goal is pretty much a gimme in NFL terms at this point. And so maybe that's what they were thinking, but they're not even trying to get yards. They're just kneeling it down, and they're going to play for that 46-yard field goal, which ends up being blocked by the Packers, who win the game. So, I heard a take this week about this in particular, Dustin, which I think is funny coming up. The take, and it's one of those segments where you get the really emotional guy who just says things for likes and all that. And so, but his take was, get rid of kickers entirely. We don't need them. That shouldn't even be part of the game anymore. Everything should be relying on the offense only. Get into the end zone, or you don't score at all. Get rid of the kickers. Yep, that gives rid of jobs, but whatever. So.
And are you for that, Scott?
No, I don't think I am. I like the kicking aspect of it, but I do wonder, to Dustin's point, if there's something that can be done. We already did it with extra points, right? We moved the extra point back, but it's now at the point where extra points are pretty much 99% go in also. So
I think I heard one of the older Kelsey brother, or however you say his name, proposed that have him hit the crossbar as opposed to go in between them, because that would kind of infuse more of the talent that we're saying they have. It would force them to show that
Interesting.
more, and it would make it far more difficult. It wouldn't entirely remove it out of the game, but I think to Dustin's point, which I agree with, it is a little too simple now. And we've seen the game evolve, and when that happens, we make rule changes and stuff like that, like changing the way we do kickoffs. So why not challenge different positions to have to do anything different? Back in the day when you were a cornerback, you could basically get away with murder as long as, you know what I mean? As long as you didn't hit him before the ball got there. And so we changed things to help people, but it did dull the game down, and that's probably for the sake of human brains, and that's fine. It already happened. But I think if we were to change the game again, it should be to make it more difficult and to make guys who are more talented shine out. So that's all I would really say about it.
So I have a thought. I was thinking about what possible rule changes or something could there be, and I thought to soccer, I forget, it's like a penalty kick or something, but there's like people who line up in front of the goal and they try to kick over them or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So here's a thought. And this might sound stupid really, but take away the only player out there is the kicker, essentially. The only player out there is the kicker, and the ball's on that, whatever you call it, the stand. You back them up another 5 yards away from the defense, 5 or 10 yards, and then whistle blows and he goes to kick it. The defense can rush as fast as they can to see if they can block it. But he has an additional 5 yards to kick it. I don't know.
Cody's a straight psychopath, and I love it. He's like, come on, guys, professional smear the queer with a kicker. I love the idea. I don't know if you're allowed to say that these days, but that's what we called it when you threw the football in the air, or killer man or whatever. But I think that's a terrific idea, Cody. You're a genuine psychopath, but I'll watch your sports, bro. You give people more ideas.
I want to make sure you heard me right. It seems like you did it. I mean, he's kicking.
I don't know. You're saying give guys who run a 4.2 40 5 yards from the only other guy on the field and say go
5
get
extra yards. Okay, 5
extra.
They have to run
whole
10
timeout.
yards.
So 15 yards. Still, dog. Yes. Go. Let them dogs bark, bro. I'm trying to watch a killing, dog. What are you, Roman?
Yeah. We talked about getting rid of jobs, and now we're going to be adding jobs because they need a new kicker every week.
And extra EMTs, bro.
Cody's on to something.
I know.
We give the defense baseball bats.
Listen.
You guys got any better ideas?
One guy gets brassed up.
Well,
Only one.
Back to your point, Cody, about soccer standing in front of the goal. I think that the 11 players on defense should set up a human pyramid to try to block the kick before it goes over the goalpost.
Y'all watch slam ball? Put a trampoline out there.
And that way there are two disposable.
I'm still waiting to hear a better idea from you guys, okay?
No,
I stand by hit the crossbar, not get people murdered.
I do actually like that idea though, hitting the crossbar. I want to see how many kickers, if they try to hit the crossbar, can. I've always wondered that about kickoffs in particular, like from the 35-yard line or whatever. Maybe if you hit the crossbar on a kickoff, you get a point. I don't know. Or on field goals. Now, to get your 3 points, you have to hit you get 1 point if you hit one of the ones up here, and you get 3 points if you hit this one. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I know we're getting back to more serious. Yeah, I like the idea of closing in the goalposts.
Yeah,
Rugby,
making that a harder target to hit. but even then, the most boring play in all football is the extra point and the kickoff. And so I like the idea. I would agree, get rid of the extra point and just make every team go for two.
Go for two.
That's what I would do. Get rid of the extra point. And as far as kickoffs, either return it or don't. But like, it's got to be one or the other every single time. And
I
if
agree.
it's don't return it, then get rid of the kickoff and give them the ball at the 25.
Everyone starts at the 25.
Return it, then they got to catch it. They got to return it.
Yeah, if you kick it out of the back of the end zone, they start at the 40. If and you catch it anywhere in the field of play, you got to return it, even if it's 9 yards deep in the end zone. Got to go. So
I think, to Cody's point, I don't think your idea is as crazy as I made it sound. I was being a little over the top for the jokes that I could find in there. But rugby is really similar to what you described for one of the ways that they get 2 or 3 points, right? They have like a launcher or whatever, like a dude that jumps to try to block it. But they're kind of set back, and then the guy that kicks it and all of that. So, I mean, your idea is not completely out of the realm of reality, but it did sound hilarious when you first described it. That's all.
yeah,
But I did want to say that I do agree with parts of it. But when you first, I was just like, man, these dudes are so athletic. 15 yards and a kicker, he's dead. He's actually going to die fast. That's all I thought when I first heard it.
I would say, if we were to adjust Cody's idea more, maybe instead of having guys, we just put a Zamboni that like slowly goes towards him.
we're talking
Come
about
on
fish
now.
called
I
Wanda.
was trying to be fair to the guy. He come back with a Zamboni. Yeah, but we get to paintball at him, right? What are we entering basketball? We're entering basketball realms.
Fish called Wanda all over again up here.
You're still allowed to throw tortillas on the field if you're at A&M.
Yeah. One of the last things I have for football this week is Monday Night Football this week, the Harbaugh. John Harbaugh and the Ravens against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. So, yeah, get your popcorn out, I guess, and watch Harbaugh number 3. John Harbaugh's won the previous 2, but the Ravens won for a Super Bowl even. So
that should be a pretty good game. Those teams are only separated by 1 loss, right? The Ravens having one more than.
I think it's a half loss, yeah, because the Ravens are 7-4 and the Chargers are 7-3. So, yeah.
I thought they were 8-4. My bad.
I think the Chargers have had a bye and the Ravens haven't, so there's just one half.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah. I think that's all I have for football. You guys have anything else? Okay. I think did we? Yeah, let's talk about the fight, Tyson and Paul. Yeah. So did anyone see it? Did anyone see it, or did Netflix just kind of buffer the whole way through it?
Dude, I was furious. Me and my lady were screaming like. I think I saw the funniest meme I saw about it was I'm never gonna pay for my mother-in-law's Netflix again. Like saying like, oh, we're done. I'm not even gonna sign into that account. And so I was really mad because it happened more and more the closer it got to the actual fight that I was trying to watch. The women put on an incredible fight. I don't feel like the decision was judged correctly. Katie Taylor headbutted that chick 9-10 times, like easily 9 or 10 times. I'm not trying to exaggerate. And the referee only took 1 point from 1 round and had to consistently warn her to stop leading with her head. And she opened a whole new orifice on that chick's eyebrow. It was ferocious. With the headbutt, they plainly showed it in replay. Had she chose to not continuing to fight, that fight would have gone to her, and she would have gotten a no contest victory because of essentially Katie Taylor being caught cheating. And so I had to point that out. The first YouTube boxing, it was like a YouTube boxer versus a regular boxer. He humped him. It was stupid. It was a dumb fight. The boxer didn't perform as well as he should have. He should have knocked the YouTuber out much faster. Similarly to how the main event went. Mike Tyson was just a 58-year-old man trying to box a 27-year-old man. It is what it is. His knees didn't look right. His movement was off. And I think he decided very early that it was a bad decision. And he was just going to try to make it through there unscathed and show his kids he could box. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's good analysis, and I agree with that. I don't want to stir up too much controversy, but this was sponsored by Jake Paul's company as well, right?
Mhm.
This was something where like, hey, we want Jake Paul to win. What big name can we put him up against in order to increase his own net worth? And not trying to stir up controversy and say that's what happened, but I'm sure Tyson said, sure, whatever.
I
You're
think,
100% right,
yeah.
dude.
I was going to say there is no controversy.
Hey, do you guys have a grandpa that I can fight? I'll give him. Look, dog, I'm gonna give him $60, but I'm also gonna hit him in the face. But he needs $60, right? So I'll take care of that. But he has to let me hit him on national TV.
As
You would
my
think I
uncle
was a
always
piece of shit. Like
say,
you
20 bucks
wouldn't.
is 20 bucks.
Hey, I only say that in prison. I need fudge rounds. I've never been to prison.
Yeah, Dustin, I don't think there's any controversy. I mean, maybe I'm leaning too hard into it, but I think it was certainly in some ways rigged up for Jake Paul to win that fight. So, and it went 8 rounds. So, I mean, it was kind of epic in that way. But I mean, you're still watching a 60-year-old man try to move around to the speed of Netflix's streaming. So
Nice.
it was difficult. And one joke I heard was about the Dallas Cowboys. And in fact, said, "Man, I haven't seen this much ass in AT&T Stadium since Mike Tyson." So
Pretty good joke.
So.
I was upset about that. I was like, wait, come on, guys. We don't have an editor. Like, I want my girls to be able to watch this fight and stuff for a fight, not the old man butt.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah. Fight was sponsored by Cody's Internet.
Oh, dude, Dustin's ruthless today.
Yep.
What was it sponsored by again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
I'm not gonna lie, it was really funny to see Yancey and Scott laugh, and then Cody half a second later.
Nice.
Internet's horrible here.
Because of the internet buffering, that you got it just a half a second later.
At least I'm able to stay on the whole time this time. At least there's that.
Yeah. Cody, speaking of you staying on the whole time, we have your PTI questions that we want to get to from last week. So
yes, let's do it. So I had 3 last time, but we'll just do 1 and 3 this time because 2 I don't think is really relevant anymore. So number 1, I don't know if it's really a hot take, but it's definitely a strong opinion of mine. So talking about the Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, their struggles, it all starts at the top. It all starts with Jerry Jones, and that in order to fix that, he needs to step down as GM, just be the owner, or maybe even sell it, but at least be just the owner. But he can't be GM anymore if he wants the team to find success in the postseason as well. And it all starts with him, and he needs to have some self-reflection.
If Geriatric Jones was more worried about defense and less worried about player dick size and telling Jamie Foxx what's going on downstairs, they might have some success. Until those things happen, hey, it's problems in Dallas.
yeah, Cody, I think almost everyone agrees with you, including Dallas Cowboys fans. I think everyone does, but it's not going to happen. Jerry Jones loves the spotlight. He loves getting the attention. He's the only general manager to give press conference interviews after games. Like no other owner or GM does that. And he loves the spotlight. He loves the controversy, and he loves controlling his own team the way that he wants to. He's out there playing his own little fantasy football league that in real life, just doing what he wants to do. And so it's just his own little game that he wants to play, and he's not going to let anyone else take it. And I don't know what's got to happen in order for that to happen, but you have to move heaven and earth, I think, to get Jerry Jones to let go of his role of general manager.
Well, they kind of tried to move heaven north. They opened up the dome and pieces of metal fell down.
That's right.
The sky was falling, and still wouldn't step down.
I heard a guy was hired to make one of those pieces land on Jerry. It just didn't work out.
It's interesting, from a whole organization standpoint. Again, don't you think if you say, hey, let's open up the dome, it's like, yeah, we should go make sure there's not stuff up there. That, that there's an organization, there's this idea that it really presents that the whole organization needs a cleanup. And so, Cody, yeah, I completely agree. Jerry Jones needs to step away from the Dallas Cowboys. They probably need a total refurbish of the organization in order to find success. And my only question onto it is, how many hours does McCarthy have left?
He keeps saying he's not going to make a change during the year. I don't think they've ever done that for the Cowboys under Jerry Jones. I could be wrong, but I think he's usually waited till the end of the year, and I'm not sure that's going to change necessarily. But McCarthy won't be back next year, because even though everyone knows it's Jerry's fault, it's going to fall on Mike McCarthy.
Agree 100%.
Which sucks because he's the owner. He can do that. So
yeah.
Any other thoughts on that? Okay. So the last one is definitely a hot take for me, and I guess we've talked about it a lot. So I don't know. It's still fun to talk about, I guess. But in college football, group, I guess really just G6 now at this point, but group of 5, group 6 conferences, as well as FCS non-conference games could be eliminated in the Power 4 level. And that Power 4 teams should only play Power 4 teams here on out. And I have my reasons, and I'll just go ahead and share those reasons. First off, it's obvious for everyone that times are changing. NIL is a big source of that. Transfer portal, big source of that. Was it great, of course, when G5 teams or FCS teams are upsetting the power teams? Of course it is, and it's nostalgic. But it rarely happens at this point because of NIL, because of the transfer portal. It's a lot more rare. And speaking of that, transfer portal, NIL is making it increasingly difficult as you go forward. It's only going to get harder for that matchup to even be fair in any way. And so it'll make it very difficult for lower level teams to even have a chance, let alone any more than a chance. Power 4 schedules should be all level across every conference. And the reason why for that, in my opinion, is it creates more parity. It creates more excitement. And what it does is you see these teams are starting out playing FCS teams that no one's even heard of, or a group of 5 teams that are bottom barrel of their own teams. Then there's other teams who are playing LSU or Clemson in their opening. And so there's this completely uneven matchup. And so at the end of the year, when you're looking at these, Power 4 teams, it's like, well, this team is 8-1 or whatever, or 10-1, but they also played this nobody, and that nobody. And then this team's 10-1 and they played, or this team's like 8-4 or something, and they played a lot of other teams. And so There's that idea. It gives it more of a level, even level for CFP, which in turn will have more viewership and more money, which is, of course, it's a business, right? That's what they want to do, something what they need to do. With that being said, what happens to Group of Five, right? Group of Five, in my opinion, or Group of Six, they should really create their own league. They really should create their own league that they can have everyone in that league be able to play and be able to earn a spot for a championship in their league, and they can be playing for a championship there. This is still going to allow the teams to compete. This is still going to allow them to have a chance to have these athletes play and be able to play, enter the transfer portal, go somewhere else as well. And that has no impact to draft. The Group of Five, Group of Six actually does have a significant contribution to the draft, believe it or not. They really do. And FCS as well. They're still going to be playing games. They'll still be viewed. They're still there. And so that doesn't go away, and they'll still be making an impact to the draft. And so it really does not affect Group of Five teams, FCS teams. The only thing I can see that it affects is when FCS teams come and play Georgia's paying them $5 million to do that. Okay, so they're losing out on that $5 million is really my understanding of the only thing that changes. So that's just kind of a broad reasonings of why I think that. The main reasons is we need to make this level for everyone. That Alabama's not playing Mercer in freaking November. They should be playing LSU or something, someone in their conference. And we want to see, the non-conference game of Georgia, Ohio State, or Clemson and Oregon. Though, week after week after week. That's what the league needs. It's changing. That's what they need going forward, and I will stand on that hill. But I want to hear what you guys say and what you guys think.
I would say that overall I agree with you, but life is never fair. And we still need those loser teams to take those payments to kind of, because so a similar thing happens in boxing early in your career. If you want to be a professional boxer, let's say I'll pay Scott to come fight me. I'm going to have all my friends and everybody watch me fight Scott. Scott knows I can beat Scott up. I know I can beat Scott up. I pay Scott handsomely to get beat up, but to perform as though he's trying to win. And really, we all know what's going on, and we can eat dinner after, and we all got paid. That's how a lot of early boxing goes. The better guy has to pay the worst guy to get in there because I can actually damage your brain. And so I think there are differences in that, but I think that some of that is helpful to those schools that will never really compete. You know what I mean? Like, it's unfortunate, but without the donor support that the bigger schools have, they're not going to have the facilities or the same kind of athletes showing up to learn from each other. So really, that's a gift to them. And if you put all those crap schools together and they don't have the chance to shine against the better competition, like Lacey is making, or the Boise State running back, what's his name again?
Ashton Genty.
Genty, sorry. So he's performing well against bigger schools, but if he was stuck against a bunch of losers, his inflated numbers wouldn't look like anything. You know what I mean? It would just be like, well, yeah, of course he's getting 50 carries. These bums can't tackle him. What would he do against Florida State? And so some of those guys may never really get eyes on them because of the assumption that they're not being competed against. And so you really need iron to sharpen iron. I don't get better doing anything that I suck at with somebody who sucks as much as me. I have to do it against somebody who's better than me to learn at what I suck at to get better. And so I don't think that dividing the winners and losers and saying, here, go play your game, you go play your game, would really do anything for the sport. Because losing makes winners. Like, after you get sick of losing, that's how you become a winner. You know what I mean? And so I don't think that would really be viable. I'm interested to hear what your guys' opinion is on it. I think that I agree with your overall idea that it would help separate competition. I just don't think it would actually work because you need those different things to to see who's good and who sucks.
Yeah. I can go next, Scott. I know you have some strong opinions. So
Go ahead.
You. So, Cody, I don't necessarily disagree. I can tell you some of the ideas that I've had, but one thing that I would disagree with is, the idea that you got a big team that's got players on NIL contracts and all of that. There is nothing that a normal scholarship player that's never going to see it in football field after this wants more than to go out against a bunch of millionaires and kick their butt. And so smaller teams beating bigger teams is going to continue to happen. And it may happen more because these are the guys like, hey, I'm playing against millionaires. There's nothing I want more than to beat them. And so that motivation is stronger than ever before. Now, setting that aside, what I would like to see is, you take the 30 to 40 biggest, most influential programs in college football, and you create a league out of them. And then you're going to tier that down afterwards. That the next ones become a tier 2 and they farm into that one, and so on and so forth. And so Georgia, if you want to go play at Georgia, you sign up and you play for Wake Forest first for a year or for 6 games or something like that. And if you prove yourself, you get to farm up. And you have these different leagues. And every year, Wake Forest in this instance would get to play Georgia every year, at least once a year, because, hey, this is your future. You get to play against your future players, your future teammates. They got the same coaching structure. This is the way that baseball is structured, and it's fantastic. It works fantastic for the sport. I would want, and I would in fact expect for college football to go that route, for there to be a major league and then multiple minor leagues before that, an A, a double A, and a triple A league before that farm up to each other to help develop players. And then they can say, and that'll eliminate the transfer portal. That'll help to eliminate that, because you can say, hey, this guy is a Georgia program guy. He started at this small school, went up to Wake Forest, then played at Georgia for 2 years, and now I know what I'm getting when I'm drafting him. And so I would love to see what you're saying become true, but through a different system that exists currently, through a farm system.
Are you talking about like relegation? Is that what you're?
I don't know what that word means.
Oh, in soccer, like if a minor league team plays super well, basically they get to move up to that league, and then the back team to move.
No, not that. I'm saying that the Northwest Arkansas Naturals are a farm team to some other team that's a farm team to the Kansas City Royals. And so you would have University of South Alabama be a farm team to Wake Forest, who is a farm team to Georgia. And so if you want to play with Georgia, you're going to go play at South Alabama for 6 games or a year. If you're good enough, you go up to the next league, and so on and so forth. And so you have the top tier that farm up through it.
I've got to say that I like that, the way that you broke that down. And I really like that idea applied to what Cody was saying. And I think that would be like a healthy way to filter the competition. If I could just toss that in there.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. I'm not sure I necessarily love it, but I don't hate it. It's so the couple of thoughts that I have about this situation. This is similar to what other people said as well. That what Dustin said about the little brother wanting to go beat the big brother. It's such a universal experience for college athletics, especially when you get to NCAA basketball, when you get to the March Madness tournament, when you get little tiny Florida Gulf Coast going to play the University of Florida and beating them. Sometimes you see the 16 beat the 1. There's a reason why March Madness is so fun to watch, because you get those kind of upsets. You get every now and then, and it doesn't happen often. It's happened twice ever that a 16s beat a 1, but that does not mean that it can't happen. And so there's all these kids that are never going to play in the NFL. They know they're not going to play in the NFL. They don't have their eyes set on that. These guys are going to be, doctors, lawyers, or whatever they want to be, salesmen, mechanics, engineers. They have a future that they're working on in college, and they just happen to also be okay at football. And what they want to go do is they want to go play this guy that's going to be in the NFL, and they want to say, hey, you remember that guy that's now the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars? I beat him in college, and it was the best game I've ever played in my life, and I remember it. I'm going to tell everyone about it. We talked about Appalachian State last week. Those guys that played in that game, that was their Super Bowl. That was the best memory they've ever had. And so getting rid of that entirely and saying, I'm sorry, you who's going to be a future engineer, you're not good enough to play against this guy that's going to go in the NFL. Sorry, not going to happen. That's just a slap in the face to these young men that want to play football at a level against players that are superstars eventually. And so it's really important to me and I think to a lot of these other programs, to be able to preserve the integrity of what college athletics really stands for. And that's part of what that is for me. And then the other piece of it is business. And Yancey was mentioning it as well, that these tiny schools, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, whatever, they're paid $2 million to go play Georgia, to go play Florida. And that's not just hey, come here to get your ass kicked and we'll pay $2 million, although it kind of is. But it's also, it adds to their program, that these tiny little programs that have a budget of $3 million a year total, they're getting almost all of that to go play this one team. That adds to what they can recruit, what they can give to their schools, what they can give to their programs. There's a business side of it, and there's a reason why they schedule these things, because they get paid. That adds money to their whole programs and their whole colleges to be able to schedule these types of things. And so it's also preserving the academic integrity, the academic structure of these schools by intercollegiate competition.
Right. And so I guess my rebuttal, first off, everyone had good points, and Dustin, that was a really interesting way of putting it, and I also wouldn't hate that. I'd be interested in looking at how it lines up. For Scott, a lot of what you said, the truth of it is, in my opinion, looking at it, is it's a business. That's really what it is. It's all a business. And let's go with the commissioners. Greg Sankey doesn't care what Kennesaw State thinks. They don't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And let me first say, I agree with you, though, that like this is what they should play for. This is what they want. Like, I like that. But it doesn't matter in the end, because all they care about is money. And they would rather get a lot more money playing Ohio State in game 1, and then playing Oregon game 2, and then playing Clemson game 3 before they go on and play their entire 9 or 10 game slate of conference games, rather than pay $5 million or whatever it is to the school that they don't have any real interest in helping. It's, that this is your business. You take care of it. That's what they're saying. This is my business. I'm going to take care of my business. I don't need you anymore. I'm going to go play the big boys, because that's going to increase my money. Now, that's just, in my opinion, that's just the business, the logistics side of it, talking that's what's going to happen. That's what needs to happen for them, because they're going to have a lot of lawsuits. Let's be honest. They need to pay those lawsuits. And so while I agree with all the sentiment and all that stuff, I like that. I like the underdog stories. There's not going to be a business side of that allowing it, because they don't need it anymore. That's my thought.
While I don't entirely disagree with that, I think that there's I think you're kind of looking at this from a Scrooge point of view, if I could put it that way. That the people are so invested in money and not in in athletes and not in students. And I mean, in some cases, you move up and you join the Big Ten in order to make a lot more money than you were making in wherever you were before. And that's true to a point. But I think you're in this business, you're in college athletics, not only for the money. You've joined this because you believe in college athletics, and so there's got to be a sense of principle. I mean, I can't speak for everyone here, but I mean, if you're in the career that you want to be in, for example, and I don't know how many of us are in that necessarily. There's an element where you put in your 9 to 5 and you go home, and because you're working and you get money for it, and it's just a job. But there's a lot of other things that I think you like what you do because it makes a difference in whatever it is, and so I think in a lot of cases that hopefully is the case. Maybe I'm an idealistic person. Maybe I'm too rainbows and roses, while Cody's all Scrooge and all that. But I don't know.
And I definitely agree that I'm looking at it as a Scrooge perspective, and that's true. And maybe I'm the Debbie Downer or whatever it is. I don't think they care. I think Greg Sankey cares about what his wallet looks like at the end of the day. I think that a lot of these, I think a lot of the athletic directors probably care about the student athletes. I think that's for sure. But I don't think the commissioners care. They're saying, no, I need to make more money for my conference. I need to get us in a better position. I really don't think that they care, unfortunately. But they're not going to say that. They're going to say, no, we put our student athletes first. We do this. But I don't think their actions show that. And that's because what I'm saying, I think that's going to happen. And that tells me that I'm right in the sense that they don't care about that. So if people did have principle, if people did care, which I think we can agree that we would like that, NIL, all that stuff maybe wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But I think that maybe I'm just a pessimist in that sense that that the commissioners and college football playoff committee or whatever it is, they want whatever makes the best money.
Let me play to both of your points. Cody is right. The people in the positions making the deals with these teams, $5 million plus, like to play these games, probably could give less than a care about the student athletes themselves. To Scott's point, for sure the people in contact with the student athletes are doing their jobs and like those people and want the best for those people. But those people don't have anything to do with decision making on the upper echelon that we're talking about. When we're talking about moving millions of dollars around from school to school, you're more to do with having a degree in economics and accounting than you would at all in college athletics. It has nothing to do with the athletes. I mean, from a few of my coaches told me this is a meat market, son. I hope you either believe in yourself and know that you're good at football if you want to go to college for free, or you should figure something out and learn the menu at McDonald's, because like this shit ain't for everybody. And your body, look, not all our bodies are the same, dog. You're not built like I'm built, and this person's not built like this. Not everybody's gonna be able to make money from this. I'm not gonna go to where Scott lives and ask for his job because I don't have any merit to receive it. So I think that you're both right. And at the end of the day, it's not 100% greed and it's not 100% altruism. But it's definitely, I think, closer to the side that Cody's portraying, that, hey, man, at the end of the day, this is the business. The schools that want to get paid are going to get paid. And the schools that are good at football are going to get eyes on them because we want to watch people perform. That's all. And I don't have a specific stance on how they should change it, honestly, because I don't know. I don't know.
We might all agree that Dustin's idea is not bad because that kind of seems like the middle ground where they're kind of keeping this principle in place, but also accepting the fact this is a business and it has to happen that way.
I like that.
Like I said, I didn't hate it.
Idea.
Yeah, Dustin.
Can I trademark it? Can I make money off of that idea?
You can try, bro. I mean,
uh,
in the 80s, you could sell crack cocaine, and that's really bad for people.
yeah.
I
Okay.
know we're out of time.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I want to mention is that if you look at Yancey's screen behind him, that's not a glare, that's not fuzz. We got a real fun football game going on.
You're snowing out.
Yeah. For those of us who've played, I think 3 of us here have played football in high school or whatever. When you play a snowy game, it's different playing in your backyard than it is actually playing on the field, right? It's fun playing in the snow in the backyard. It's not as fun when you're down in the muck and the ice cold hands and all that, and getting your fingers smashed between face masks during brittle cold. Yeah. That's not fun.
Yeah, when you get tackled when it's 20 degrees outside, sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Yeah, but it's fun playing in the backyard, like when it's like that. So yeah,
It was fun. I don't
It
think
was.
we could do it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I got 4 plays, and then I'm back in the house for hot cocoa, boys.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to carry me there.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
So yeah, well, yeah, right now, looking at that game, Browns lead the Steelers right now, 10-6 in the third quarter. So we'll check in on that. And again, we won't be meeting next week because of Thanksgiving. So our next podcast will be December 5th. So
Happy early birthday, Scott. If we don't,
thanks, appreciate it.
shout out you before then.
Okay, thanks everyone.